So, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Family Reflections. My name is Keddy and she is
Ina.
all right, and we're in here today with Officer Ron Chico. Kina, why is the officer joining us today?
Right. So, as we know, November is Road Safety Month, and we cannot proceed in discussing road safety without the assistance of our traffic officers. So, this is why Mr. Chico is here today, and we're going to dig into the topic of road safety.
Right.
Welcome, Officer Chico.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just start off with statistics. When we look at vehicular collisions in St. Lucia, and even the wider region, lately there has been many collisions, whether it be vehicular or motorcycle. What can you tell us about the statistics for this year?
Okay. Over the years, what we've observed is for the past 4 years, I think from 2016 onwards, there has been a spike in the amount of accidents we've had yearly. For example, prior to 2016, we normally had about in the region of 650 to 680 accidents reported for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That has gone up to about 1,200 accidents reported for the year over the years. So it has increased. For example, 2017, it went up to about 750. 2018, it went up to about 870, I believe. 2019, it surpassed 1,000, and it keeps climbing. So far for the year, today is the 22nd, is it, of November? Right, we've recorded about 867 accidents so far for the year. And we're not
Wow.
even in the month of December as yet. And I would say that because of the COVID situation in the early part of the year, that reduced on the amount of accidents we've had. So I believe if we were not in a pandemic state, we'll have even more accidents.
Yeah. Right.
So let me just make sorry, Kina. Let me just make sure I'm getting these numbers right because I'm a numbers guy.
Mm-hmm.
You said prior to 2016 there was an average of how many accidents per year?
About it was about 650 to 680 accidents a year, reported accidents.
Okay.
And be mindful that is only for the Castries district,
Okay.
That's only for the Northern district. We don't have the statistics, I don't have the statistics island-wide.
Mm-hmm.
But for our central location in the city or in Castries is about 600, and we have seen that almost doubled over the past few years. The amount of road accidents we have.
Holy.
Yep.
And it's telling.
Yep.
And you're saying that this is just a Castries Basin thing.
Yeah, this is a Castries Basin thing, from the Badlil to Grosley.
So I've always been thinking that, and I always tell people this as I drive along the roads. When my parents started driving and when my father started driving, there were a lot less vehicles on the road, right? So there were sometimes some bad driving habits that you could get away with and kind of smile like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that, But now, I see a lot more vehicles on the road. I see a lot nicer vehicles on the road too, but that's a different conversation. But is that really where it all comes from? Just more vehicles being on the roads?
Well, that is one factor. I mean, more vehicles. I mean, we have a lot more vehicles on the road compared to maybe 20 years, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But also another factor is we have a lot of new drivers. We have a lot of young drivers. And I mean, that is, my experience, I've been at traffic department for the past 14 to 15 years. And I can tell you a lot of our accidents are investigated. A lot of the causes are based over or factored upon inexperience is one, especially among the young drivers, and driver habit. I always say driver attitude. Our attitude behind the wheel plays a very big role in causations of accidents on our roads. We have a serious problem in St. Lucia. As drivers, we have a serious problem.
And I was coming to that. I was coming to that in terms of there needs to be an attitudinal change with
Oh yes,
drivers,
most
whether it
definitely.
be vehicular or motorcyclists, especially
Mm-hmm.
motorcyclists, because when we look at the trend in collisions for motorcycles, it is alarming.
Right. And we realize,
So,
sorry,
Like
mhm,
life.
mhm. Go ahead.
mhm.
Yeah, I was saying we
Well,
realize over the past few months an increase in the amount of motorcycle deaths we've had.
Yeah.
mhm,
Motorcycle crashes which results in persons losing their lives. I mean, that is just ridiculous. There
yeah.
has to be our attitude change behind the wheel. I mean, I ride motorcycles too. I've been riding motorcycles for the past, what's it, 12 years, 10 years, 12 years. And the kind of riding I do, you can't compare it to the kind of riding these guys do on the road. We do a lot more dangerous
It's a
riding,
daredevil
trust me.
life.
Right. And yet still, but it has to do with attitude changes,
Hmm.
behind the wheel on those motorcycles. Unless we don't have that, we'll just continue to have collisions, fatalities, you name it.
Yeah,
Wow.
because everybody seems to be in a rush to get somewhere.
Yeah, that's a problem,
Right.
I mean, I do not know what is wrong with, I mean, gosh, man. I mean, you're driving, for example, let me give you an example. You're driving, you're approaching a junction where you
Mhm.
must stop. But somebody who is behind you seems to be in such a rush that they will overtake you
Mhm.
right before a junction and just to come to a stop. I mean, what is the rush? You know,
Right.
what's the
I
rush?
see a lot of that.
Yes.
So I see an opportunity for us to really empathize here with a lot of people as well, though, because you're someone who has a motorcycle, or you have been riding for years,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
so very often people who try to talk to bikers and people who ride, they don't ride themselves, so they come in
True.
Exactly.
and they say, "Oh, guys, let's say motorbikes are, you're always
Yeah.
causing trouble on the road." But you are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
actually a rider, so you
A
are
rider myself.
uniquely, yeah, you're
Oh yes.
uniquely positioned
Oh
He's
yes.
to,
better positioned,
yeah,
yeah.
Yes. And I can tell you, I mean, I've investigated accidents where with motorcycles, persons have died or injured. And a lot of the times, it's just the careless and reckless actions of those motorcyclists, on those motorcycles. I mean, as a rider, you should know, one, that you're on a small vehicle, which is a motorcycle.
Hmm.
So the likelihood of drivers to see you is much less. And a lot of motorcyclists are not even aware that, for example, your headlights on a motorcycle are supposed to remain on at all times whilst you're riding. During the day, your headlight is supposed to be on high beam. Why? Because when
Hmm.
you're riding, because of the size of your
They
vehicle,
need
when
to
your
see
headlights are
you.
on, a driver can easily see you either from his rearview mirror or from ahead approaching.
interesting.
And if you look at modern motorcycles, actually come with a function that the lights don't go off. Period. So as long as you start the engine, the lights come on. The only thing you can do is high or low beam, but you cannot shut the light off. You know, I see a trend. I
Oh.
don't know where. I don't know if it's some YouTube video or whatever you saw it. I see a lot of motorcyclists riding on the highway with the hazards light on. I mean, that is ridiculous. Your hazard lights are not supposed to be what causes people to see you.
All right.
For example, if you're riding in front of me and you have your hazards on, okay,
Hmm.
and it's your intention to turn right,
Hmm.
how will I know that you want to turn right
You
when
will
your
not
hazards are
know.
blinking? Exactly. So, you know,
So
Yeah,
so
I'm glad you shared that tidbit about the lights always being on because that's something that I
yes,
wasn't aware of. Because
yes,
I
has to be
always wonder,
well done.
I don't get to see the motorbikes just come from behind and they're right next to you and then they're in front of you, and sometimes they just
Right.
immediately
Yes.
slow down in front of you.
Right.
So it's just a lot of carelessness. But in addition
Mm-hmm.
to that, do we currently have defensive driving classes for motorcyclists on island?
Not that I know. I know that I think they take the ordinary defensive driving because basically the rules of the road for riding a motorcycle or driving a motorcycle and driving a vehicle is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to practice the same, caution. You have to obey the same laws because the motorcycle, as is legislated, is a motor vehicle, so
Mm-hmm.
it falls under the same category as a vehicle. Yes, I mean riding. It involves. Is different because a motorcycle is not a vehicle. Sorry, a motorcycle is not as big as an ordinary car or pickup or whatnot. But you have to, as a rider, you have to obey the rules of the road, just like an ordinary vehicle. So I believe that I think they should have something specific for motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because the way that you ride a motorcycle is different from that of a vehicle. For example, I'll give you an example. We look at motorcyclists, they're always straddling traffic. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you're a motorcycle and you're straddling traffic, there are certain things that you must look out for. One, for example, if you're straddling traffic and you realize...
Just a moment. I want to make sure
Sorry.
that the listeners really understand what exactly you mean by straddling traffic.
Right. So they're riding alongside traffic. Instead of riding behind a vehicle that is ahead of them, they're riding alongside, or basically overtaking a line of traffic. Right.
So like in between vehicles and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So you're driving or you're riding alongside traffic. You realize, for example, a minibus stops in the road. What comes to mind? One, somebody may be disembarking the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that person will most likely want to cross. Understand? Yes, two, the vehicle might stop to allow someone to cross. Understand? Now you're riding alongside the right side of the vehicle. There's no way that you can see what the driver of the minibus is saying. You know, and we have had a lot of crashes like that, where people just ride like they just don't care. You know?
Okay.
And these are the little things that you must, as a rider, you must always practice. Look ahead. You look. If you, for example, you see a vehicle stop along the road, before you overtake, look beneath the vehicle. If somebody's crossing, you can see the shadow is walking. You know, these are little tidbits and little tricks persons can use, you know, to have a safer riding experience.
Okay.
And that comes with experience too, I can tell you.
But even since you touched briefly on that pedestrian aspect of things, let us now look at the opposite, right? But although we're still road users, so we're going to pedestrians basically. Pedestrians have this thing where they believe that the zebra crossing is their safety zone, that they can use it as they please, they can walk leisurely, they can chat on their phone and walk at their own pace crossing and all of that, or just cross at any angle. How do we implore citizens to use the pedestrian crossing better, and how are they supposed to be using the pedestrian crossings?
Right, so that is a big problem we have again with pedestrians. The proper thing to do when you get to a pedestrian crossing, as a pedestrian, you need to stop. If the traffic is traveling both ways, you need to look both ways, and you need to wait until both approaching vehicles have stopped. If it's a case where it's a one-way traffic, let's say, for example, Bridge Street, near Blue Coral Mall, right? Traffic travels in one direction, that's southbound along Bridge Street. So before you get to the crossing, you must stop and allow the vehicle to stop first before you start crossing. Reaching on the crossing doesn't mean or doesn't give you the right to just walk across the road without even ensuring that the driver has stopped. Because the driver who is approaching can be distracted. He may have not seen you, and it happens all the time. I've almost collided with pedestrians for that same reason.
No,
I see you smiling. So
no, the reason why I'm laughing is the level of entitlement and sometimes anger you experience when somebody's crossing is amazing. Yo, you get to someone crossing the road, right? Crossing the street, and the person will turn at you and give you a mean
look.
Watch you. And they watch you.
Like, where are you going?
Or they'll say something, you know, they'll say something under their breath.
You don't see me?
You know?
Or something.
I'll give an example which happened to me last week. I was driving that same street, and I was having a conversation with my colleagues, and this lady just walked across the road, literally just walked across the road. I had to jump my brakes, you know, because she was walking towards the crossing, and she just jumped from the curb onto the crossing. And imagine she walked across my car, her head is down, she hasn't looked at me yet. There's a minibus going down towards in the opposite direction. The lady literally almost walked into the side of the bus, and her head was still down.
And she's still not yet watched y'all.
I
Was she on
myself
her
said
phone?
she was. No, I probably thought I probably said that she was going through something that day. She was maybe distracted or she's stressed out because I don't understand
Wow.
how. Literally, the lady almost her nose almost hit the side of the bus. If the bus is,
Oh my
and
goodness, I don't
she
laugh.
just paused like for 2-3 seconds.
Ooh.
The bus passed and she just continued to walk. I'm like, wow, 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 wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just not understanding that, we are driving around these machines that weigh
Exactly.
hundreds and
300,
thousands of
yeah,
pounds.
3,000 pounds. Exactly.
And what if my brake system fails?
Exactly my point. That's why you need to stop and wait for the driver to stop, because sometimes the driver at that time can suffer a brake malfunction or something, and his vehicle
Yeah.
cannot stop, and he'll
Right.
just simply run over you. And another practice I've seen again, and you see that you see parents, for example, who are walking with their children in the city. The
Mhm.
crossing is, let's say, about 5 meters away, and they will attempt to cross the street with the child, holding the child. Now, when you are not there, what do you think is going to happen? The child is going to
Child's
do, the
gonna do
child
the
is going to
same
do
thing.
the same thing.
Right.
So you see, it starts from young. We need to practice. We need to teach our children from very young to do what is right for their own safety, because you're not going to be there all the time.
Right.
So if you teach them what is wrong, when you're not there, they're going to
Right.
just continue to do what you have been teaching them.
Right.
But another thing, and Kelly, were you gonna say something? Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, another thing with the pedestrian cross, right? What is your view on? Okay, so I'm at the pedestrian crossing, and a driver just he's coming with a speed and he just hurls me
Mm-hmm.
like cross, cross, cross
Mm-hmm.
without consideration for somebody overtaking or anything of that nature to give other road users the fact that there's somebody that's going to cross
Mm-hmm.
and somebody probably overtakes or anything of that nature. Have you ever witnessed something like that where other drivers are
Yes,
motioning for pedestrians to cross?
yes. Like I'll give you an example by the airport.
Hmm.
By the airport, there's this crossing there.
Yes,
Which
Now remember,
airport
you
are we
are
talking
right. I'm
right
sorry,
by the
VG
roundabout
Airport.
at VG.
about? Okay. All
Right.
right.
It's right by
I'm
the
not even
roundabout.
right. Not even so far. The one next to
Which
Shamarida
one?
station on the main road.
Okay, yes, yes.
Right. That's what. Right. So you have 3 lanes of traffic: two going northbound, one going to Castries.
Hmm.
Sometimes the driver on the inner lane going northbound stops to allow somebody to cross. Somebody who's traveling on the, let's say, on the left lane going up north is coming at a speed, and they are not stoppers yet. We have had accidents where persons have actually collided or run into the rear of other vehicles which are stopped to allow persons to cross. That happens all the time. Somebody stops
Oh,
for you, a driver stops for you to allow you to cross. Somebody comes behind, bam. That happens all the time. So that is why even
Interesting.
yeah.
you, as a pedestrian, before you even cross, you should be aware that there are 3 lanes of traffic. Even if one driver
Hmm.
stops for you, make sure that the
Yeah.
other two stops before you even attempt to cross. Because like I tell pedestrians, I've never seen a Lexus or a Honda or a Mitsubishi at VH with drips. Okay,
Right.
because if you
Yeah.
have a damaged fender, you can easily go and buy a new one and replace it. If you break
Hmm.
your leg or you break your spleen or
The
you
body
paralyze, that's
parts.
it for you,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We
Now,
tend to think we're made of iron.
Yep.
yeah. This just came to my head, and I want to ask before I forget.
Hmm.
What do you think about self-driving vehicles? One of the ways that people have been selling the whole concept of self-driving vehicles is that this is going to be so much safer for our roads, so much safer for our societies, and they're using artificial intelligence, they're using machine learning to really make our roads safer. At least that's what is being sold to
Mm-hmm.
us. What do you think about that and the potential of that?
Well, I've never thought of that being here.
Me
Something
neither.
here. I don't see it working here too well.
Especially
Even
with
in the
our
self-drive,
terrain.
right? Right, yeah, and that's the biggest problem. Even in the self-driving, tests they have done, they've had a lot of crashes with
Right.
those self-driving vehicles, and even those roads are straight roads, flat roads for
Yeah.
miles.
Right.
Unlike
Hmm.
our terrain, like you said, we're very mountainous, and so
Hmm.
I don't see it working here too well.
It
Uh,
Trust me.
I
wouldn't.
I would disagree. I think with some of the strides that they're making,
Mm-hmm.
Tesla is about, well, I think they already have released a full self-driving package.
Mm-hmm.
And though most of those self-driving programs right now work best on the American freeways and European
Mm-hmm.
freeways,
Mm-hmm.
I see in the next 5 years those systems being capable enough to navigate a mountainous, rugged terrain, uh, and curvy roads, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like
Well,
what we have in St. Lucia.
Definitely not in my road.
yeah.
And I don't think anybody would want these type of expensive Teslas down here on these road conditions. So
I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
What is the most I'm going back to our motorcyclists
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very passionate about motorcyclists. I love
Mm-hmm.
motorbikes, but I've been seeing far too many fatalities, as you've said. What is one of the most important messages that you could get out there for our motorcyclists?
Well, it's always I always encourage motorcyclists ride with the intention of staying alive. Okay, the motorcycle is fast. It feels nice. Trust me, riding a motorcycle fast.
Mm.
I've been there. It feels nice,
Yes.
you know. But compared to an ordinary vehicle, I mean, the likelihood of you crashing, I mean, is way up there. And I mean, it is so easy to crash on a motorcycle. You wouldn't believe. Wet road conditions, for example,
Mhm.
especially these days, you realize how the rain falls. It might be raining in one location, and when you get to somewhere else, it's
Yeah.
dry.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
say if you're driving somewhere, you rent somewhere that's dry, and then you just encroach on wet road,
Mm-hmm.
that can throw you down. Oil, I think I don't know if you heard the news. I think they had to close the Shock Highway
Because of
last
an
week
oil
because
spill.
of oil spills, right?
Oh
Sand,
wow. I
you
didn't even
know.
hear. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know who was. Maybe these guys carry those oil or those diesel in those drums in those trucks and
Mm-hmm.
just wets
It
the
spill
road.
all over.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
right? As a motorcyclist, you need to be aware of all of these things because these are the things which can cause you to crash, cause you to seriously injure yourself. Also, we need to ensure that we always drive within the speed limit. And three, sorry, safety gear, helmets. Helmets saves lives. Okay?
Yeah.
If you can't afford, I see people riding with slippers. That is not safe. Okay?
Right.
If you're riding a motorcycle, it's safer to have enclosed shoes, you have a helmet, and if you
Mm-hmm.
can, you have your leather suit, your leather jacket, your
Mm-hmm.
yes, these
Knee
things,
guards.
knee guards, yes,
Right. Right.
your gloves, these are important.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you fall on a motorcycle, you hit the asphalt. You don't have an airbag, you don't have seat
Nothing.
belts to protect
Right.
you, you have nothing,
Right.
you know. So we need.
Because
Let me give you a short story
mm-hmm.
quick. I remember this. There was this one time I was on the Millennium Highway. It was a Thursday. It was Thursday or Friday. So I saw this guy on a scooter with no helmet. I stopped him. He told me he's from Cicero. I told him, brother, you should have your helmet. He told me, yes, officer, I have it home. I just rushed to go down there. I said, buddy, the little rush that you rush to go down there might be the last rush you rush to go down there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He said, okay. I said, okay, you know what? Turn back and go back home. That was Thursday. Monday afternoon, you will not believe that same individual fell off the motorcycle at Cicero. He had no helmet again, and his head went straight into the wheel of a Wasco's vehicle. Half of his brain stayed on the road. That was the end of him.
Wow,
Son,
wow, wow,
somebody I
wow.
spoke to Thursday. He had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. Just about 3 days after, I spoke to him. And had he had a helmet in his head, he would not have died. Because I
Painful
attended
circumstances.
I attended the autopsy. That's something that we do as traffic investigators.
Mm-hmm.
And the pathologist said the same thing. Had he had a helmet, he wouldn't have died. And the same guy I spoke to, I told him, wear your helmet. And he was not fast per se. He just fell on his head, hit the wheel of a vehicle, and the wheel of the
Right.
vehicle broke his skull, and his brain stayed on the road. So that's a true story.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Understand?
and yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know that can really a story like that is so much better than just telling people to wear a helmet, you know.
Oh yes, oh
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah,
oh
it's
yeah.
a wake up call to some people there, right there,
Mm-hmm.
to just make sure that they protect themselves. But
And I'm,
before
sorry, go ahead.
we dive into anything else, I want to ensure that we keep a balanced approach, because it's so easy for people to demonize the vehicle and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
motorcycles themselves are the problem.
No, 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 no. I'll never say that.
You mentioned earlier that riding fast on a motorcycle feels good. Tell us about the pleasant part of
The
Right,
riding.
adrenaline rush.
Yeah, help us
right.
understand the attraction.
Well, we've seen, and something that we can, I mean, we've seen over the months and years in St. Lucia that the motorcycle has been a, you know, now we have a female riding club. I think Sesame Street
Mhm.
Riders, I think, right? They're done. But being on a motorcycle is fun. I mean, just the fact that you can maneuver that motorcycle and you can ride that motorcycle with speed, it feels good. The adrenaline,
The
you know,
adrenaline rush.
right? The adrenaline rush. It feels, trust me, it feels good because I've done some very fast ride myself. But I'll tell you, you understand? Yeah. And it's a preferred choice of vehicle, especially among our young men of today. And
Right.
also a lot of people, persons who, especially the ladies now, and that's something that I like. I think more women should even you,
Yeah.
Miss, you should learn to
I,
ride. And join the riding club.
I
Trust
love
me, it's fun.
motorbikes. I
It's
love
fun.
it.
You
I have
love
a
it.
colleague who actually owns a motorbike and she teaches the class as well. And I always
Oh,
admire
okay.
her. So
You should
Charmaine,
learn to
well
ride.
done. I love seeing Charmaine behind a motorbike and she just has this thing about her when she's riding. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak for the adrenaline rush and the whole
Mm-hmm.
thrill of feeling the breeze and everything.
Right.
There's a
Right.
thrill, but we need to do it safely.
Right.
Yeah, we
It's
need to
easy
do.
to get
I
carried
did
away.
very easy. I did. There are some. I mean, when the cruise ship season was open, you know, there was those Harley Davidson guys who normally come to St. Lucia
Right.
every now and
Right.
then.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I loved riding with those guys. Loved. You know why? Because they are so disciplined.
Discipline. Hmm.
They are
Even with
so
formation.
disciplined. Formation. If you
Mm.
leave the port and you're number one, you go all around the
Yeah.
island, you stop and you come back, you're number one.
Hmm.
So there's nothing about that one to overtakes that one and so on and so forth. No, there's no popping of motorcycles, none of that. It's just a nice, cool ride around the island. I
Right.
can tell you
Yes.
that over the years, I think I last worked an independence ride more than 5 years ago, and I will not work one, period. I
Wow.
do not
Wow.
want that kind of stress. I
Hmm.
just cannot take it on. It is too stressful
And
because
why
you
is
have
Is
so
that?
it
many
difficult?
bikes.
Is it difficult keeping them disciplined when they do the
Yes, that's the problem.
independence
Is this
ride?
because I mean, okay, we're going around the island for a ride, but that group wants to leave first. That one wants to go there. That one wants to go on wheelie. That one
Hmm.
wants to stop there. I mean,
Hold
it's
on.
too.
Let's
I'm going
just
to be.
stop ourselves right here. I want the listeners
Mhm.
to really know what we're talking about. When you say Independence Ride, we're going around the island. What is this all for? Let's give us some context here.
Right, right. So it's the 22nd of December, which is our, sorry, 22nd of February. My apologies.
February, the annual independence.
February.
Yeah.
My mind was got, yes, 22nd of February.
Yeah.
Um, we have this round the island ride. It's an independence activity, and I'm not sure how many years that has been. At every Independence Day, the motorcyclists from all over the island, they come together. They meet up in the William Peter Boulevard, and the intention
And the
is to ride
region.
and the region. Sorry, yes, the region.
Yes.
That's St. Vincent,
St. Vincent,
Martinique,
Dominica, Grenada.
Dominica, Grenada. Right, the guys come down to St. Lucia. They bring their own motorcycles to St. Lucia.
Hmm.
You know, and the objective is just to ride around the island as one group and have fun. You know, I mean, people love seeing those motorcycle parade. They love coming out and watch the bikes pass. Yes, and
Okay.
so that's what it's all about, and it's done every year.
So
But
you were saying about trying to keep them disciplined.
Right. So that's the biggest issue we've had over the years, trying to keep them disciplined. I think last year, I did not do it last year, but I think I was on the show with ex-president of the the present president of the Moto X Club, just before the event, and he was, there was some things put in place to help with the organization. I think they had a particular colored T-shirt, and they had rules that everybody, so before they leave Castries, they had the helmets. People are not supposed to come there on uninsured motorcycles and not being licensed. That these things were put in place just to have some form of, decorum and order whilst they go around the island. I did not go, so I do not know how it turned out. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Kenny.
I was just going to ask, is another part of the appeal, because we talked about the feeling, right? And, I've heard that, I've actually read a motorcycle myself. I like the feeling myself. But what I've heard it described as most often is it feels like you're flying, right? It feels like you're flying, almost, right? But I was wondering if another part of the appeal of the bikes would be economic also. So you're a young man, you just left A-level, you left SAFA, and you have enough money for a nice bike, but you might not have one for a sports car, right?
Right.
So I was wondering how
although
much
good bikes, although good bikes are expensive.
Like 20,000 up.
Oh yes, and up. Oh yes.
Yeah.
But it's economical, like you said, especially in fuel.
Right.
You burn less fuel. It's smaller. They can maneuver it. Right, maneuver it easier than an ordinary vehicle.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the reasons why it appeals so much to the young men. Because they like to ride those bikes, and you see them weaving through traffic and dilly through traffic. You
don't have to stop.
You don't have to
so
stop.
They can go in any hole in St. Lucia, basically.
Right.
Yeah, man.
That's how you get bike life.
Yeah. Let's not forget, it's cool, right? It just looks cool, You pop up, you get off your bike, you smile, you throw your keys to somebody or something,
Yeah.
So let's draw on now in terms of efforts. So I know we spoke of everything that goes wrong and all of that, but what efforts are being made by any agency, whether it be government, non-government, or whatever, by the police, to curb road fatalities and vehicular collisions in St. Lucia?
Okay, well, what we do on our end as police officers, we attend talk shows, radio shows, TV programs, all in an effort to educate persons as to how to use the roads. We also sit on the board at the Ministry of Infrastructure, where we are able to give our advice, our suggestions as it relates to, certain aspects of the road. And one thing I can say, I don't think that our agencies have accepted how important it is to, in terms of our roads, we speak about road safety. One of the biggest issues with road safety, I believe, is road marking our roads.
Yeah.
If you drive around St. Lucia, a majority of our roads are not marked, and that is very dangerous, because if you are not used to driving in a particular area, and let's say you go there at night, you'll have a really tough time trying to maneuver the road, because you don't know where the road bends, where it curves, where it stops.
Yeah.
And we flout in here tourism. You have tourism people coming into St. Lucia, and they are driving
especially on the West Coast.
Right. They're also driving along our roads, and those roads are not marked, and they are not even used to driving on the left side of the road, much less driving in St. Lucia.
Right.
I've noticed an accident that way, based on what you're saying in terms of road marking. It was a French couple, and they went down the valley. There was no marking or
markings.
Anything.
So you're not sure as to where the road ends and where the road turns or where the road curves. And also, if you're driving in, let's say, adverse weather conditions, it's raining heavily, or for some reason there's a power outage, if the road is marked, you can use the white lines to gauge, so to speak.
Right.
While you're traveling along the roads. I don't like to go down south and come back at night, because I don't go that side often. And the road, sometimes when you have to look hard, and my eyes are not the best. Because when you get to a corner, you realize there's a corner which goes right, and you have to
I know there are a lot of these in Choiseul and on the West Coast. I can say that driving to Soufrière, going up.
Right.
Oh my goodness, it's so dark. Like, it's dark, it's pitch black, and you can barely see in front of you. So it's definitely a concern.
Yeah, I can really speak to the importance of those white lines at the side of the
Oh
road
yes.
because there have been many times where I was driving in heavy rain,
Oh
heavy
yes. Oh
rain,
yes.
and
And you
for a little while you can't see ahead of you, and
and
all
you
you
can't
have,
even
yeah,
make right. And you can't even make out the difference between the road and the sidewalk because it's all the
Yes.
same. It looks the same. Sometimes you may go off the
Yeah.
road completely.
You're veering off.
You know. Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
Wow.
that's really important, and I
I'm
want to,
glad you pointed that out.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, so that was one aspect of road safety. I've seen, for example, they have in the city of Castries, if you realize, I don't know how the traffic lights are back up, thank God for that. Now,
absolutely.
a lot of persons are not pleased again because, they think it takes too much time. But you
Too
see,
long. Too long.
right. But it's good, let them wait. Whilst you stop at the light, say a short prayer, do something.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me butt in with a joke here about those lights. So when I heard about the lights, initially I was like, okay, it's in Castries. And that same time they put it up, I actually went to Castries for some appointment. And I noticed them. I said, okay. I also noticed that I think it's what do you call that street? Like lower down, going towards the market from La Place Carenage, that street that's on your right. There's
That's
like the
Lavery Street.
pedestrian crossing signals. I think that's what I
Right,
noticed
right,
they have.
right.
So I was
Hmm,
rather
hmm.
impressed. I was like, oh yeah, we actually have pedestrian crossing signals.
Yep,
So I hope they utilize it.
I
But in
hope.
Viewport, I had no idea that they had put the light up. So
Yes.
see me drive through, and then I'm saying, oh my, just passed a red light.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And I mean, what the light does, I mean, prior to the lights working, people those intersections were nightmares.
Hmm.
Persons rush, they block, and the worst thing is sometimes they block the intersection.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you on Jeremy Street, you're going straight towards Chaussee Road. Someone is coming from by the market area, and they just turn right and they stop right in front of you. You can't go anywhere, and because the traffic's not flowing. With the lights now, everybody goes at their turn, which is good.
But even
I believe
even
we
with
make.
that, let
Mhm,
me give you an
mhm,
example of something I noticed in Viewport. You may not be familiar with the street, but right where they put the traffic lights, so
mhm,
there is like my bus stand, shows a bus stand, these bus stands right there. There is usually somebody selling produce right
mhm.
behind the buses there. And I noticed recently coming out of the traffic lights, like drivers literally stopped by the vehicle selling the produce in traffic to purchase and holding up traffic in the intersection. And I'm like, and people are horning away, and traffic
Mhm.
is just backed up because
right.
Yep.
somebody decided to stop in the middle of traffic to purchase produce as opposed to just pulling over because
Right.
there's a
Mhm,
huge bus stand area where you could pull over on the opposite side.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I think we also need to inform people that, these things, do those things. You cannot.
Yes, I agree, and that is why I'm for one. I always agree with when the authorities. I mean, not because you have to vend, you must vend anywhere. If you want to vend somewhere, you're going to
Mm,
cause an obstruction. I believe you should be relocated to a location where you will not obstruct traffic or cause people
yeah.
to stop while it's in traffic to buy a bottle of water
Hmm.
or $10 dashing from you. I mean, and you're going to hold up traffic,
All right.
you know?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's also
Yes,
a hazard.
some people have the attitude of I don't care, So I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
a
And a
big
lot
part
of our
of where that
drivers
comes
don't
from.
care. Right. A lot of our drivers don't care. They stop in the road, they're talking away, they're chatting. It's like you're going to wait, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
So I want to talk a little bit about the freedom to drive, right? Freedom on the road. So
Hmm.
I lived a
Mhm.
large part of my life in the United States, right? But I grew up in
Okay.
St. Lucia. I recently moved back. Um, as a driver in the US, especially as a black man in the US, you always have
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
slight tinge like, oh, better watch out. You always have this
Hmm.
thing like there's
Right.
somebody right behind your back just waiting for you to mess up. When I come
Hmm.
come come back to St. Lucia, I don't have that. Right? I
Right.
get I
Right.
hop into a vehicle and I just
Hmm.
drive and I feel nice. I don't feel
Hmm.
restricted as I
Restrict.
might
Hmm.
driving
Hmm.
overseas. But I think with the enforcement or greater enforcement of traffic law in St. Lucia, people might start to lose some of that. So how
Hmm.
do we strike a balance there? Is there a balance that we can strike to keep that free feeling while also
Yeah, I mean, all you need to do is one of a few things. One, ensure that your license is paid,
Right.
ensure that your vehicle is insured, and ensure that your road license is up to date.
Right.
But I mean, you must expect at some point in time the police will stop you. I mean, police, we do random or routine checks off and on. So you might very well be stopped by the police. Just ensure that when you are stopped, that you have all the documents in order. As long as you have everything in order, you have nothing to fear. The officer is not going to detain you, arrest you, or keep you, longer than necessary or reasonably necessary, as long as your documents are in order.
Yeah.
So unlike the US, like you said, here, I mean, you're free to drive. Just ensure that your documents are up to date, and then you have no problem.
Right.
But just expect, and when the police do stop you, just be patient. As long as everything is in order, you will be done with about 15 to 30 seconds, and you're on your way.
Okay.
Can more road checks, sorry to butt in, but can more road checks be part of effort to reduce road fatalities and vehicular collisions, especially when it comes to roadworthiness of vehicles?
Most definitely. You see, you have the for example, let's take a road, for example, the Bexon Highway.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, the Bexon Highway has been one of the roads which has claimed the most lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that if we had more frequent checks along those highways, I mean, the fact that your presence is there, I would not say it instills fear in people, but when you are on the highways patrolling, people are on their P's and Q's.
Yep.
Somebody will drive from Soufrière to Bexon without a seatbelt. The moment that they see you, the first thing they'll grab is a seatbelt to put it on. Why? Because they know that they don't have it. Also, I mean, with our preliminary checks, for example, when you spoke about the vehicle checks, I mean, we don't go under the vehicles and inspect every nut and bolt, but I mean, in short, as long as, I mean, we hope that the vehicle inspectors who inspect those vehicles on a yearly basis for the renewal of the insurance, they do, I see you smiling, but they do what they're supposed to do. And that is to have a proper and thorough inspection. Now, I've seen how they inspect, trust me. Let's not even go there. I've seen how they inspect and tell you, especially for example, our motor omnibuses. I believe, for example,
this is why I'm
that
smiling.
our motor omnibuses, I honestly believe that something needs to be done in terms of having a more thorough inspection of those vehicles. I know in some countries, I think those vehicles have to go through, I think they call it a 21-point check, I think, something of that sort, where they put your vehicle on a ramp.
Everything.
And they'll pry your ball joints, your sway bars.
And you lose marks.
You lose marks.
Yeah.
Understand? But that is not done here. Here is just turn your headlights,
blow
your horn, put on your wiper, press your brakes, put in reverse, and that's it.
Yeah.
And somebody isn't. And that person can be driving on the road. He has a rotten axle, which is just just a matter of time before it breaks off. And we have had instances where minibuses have driving on the road and the tire just broke off the bus and just, while you're driving, you've seen your red tire passing you on the road driving. Your son?
And just for the listeners, I want to clarify that, I want to make sure they understand that we're talking about the public buses.
Public buses, yes, public transportation. And I also believe, up to this week, I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, but again, we're a small country. A lot of our buses on the roads, in my estimation, are too old. I believe a public transport, as long as it passes 5 years, it should be changed. 5 to 7 years, it should be changed, period. Because you have buses on the road 20 years old. You understand? 15, 20 years old buses on the road driving, and they're in a deplorable state. When you sit down on it, it's not comfortable for you. The seats are torn, it's just, but again, we look at cost, we have to make it, the authorities have to make it easy for a minibus driver to be able to change his bus every 5 years.
Yeah. But this is where I agree with you in terms of the lifespan of public buses on the road. And if you really want to take safety seriously, these are measures that we have to seriously consider moving forward. And especially with our terrain, because I'm saying this is not the States and Europe where you have flat roads that the vehicle can last you. Our terrain does not allow for vehicles to last that long. We don't have the terrain and we don't have the proper roads for it.
imagine I know that there are instances where, for example, someone boards a bus to go a particular area, and the driver will tell them, you know, I can't go up the hill with the bus can't go up the hill. Like, really?
You have to
I
you
mean,
have to pull up the passengers to go up the hill
right.
and come back.
Understand? I mean, you're driving a public bus, going up the hill is part of your route, but because your bus is in such a deplorable condition, you cannot go up the hill. That is just ridiculous.
No, you have to
Those buses
descend
are
back and then
terrible.
meet him at the top of the hill.
Right. Or find your way up the hill yourself.
So what is the potential for our public buses to become a part of the public sector? To be owned by the government, basically.
I know where you're going from. I know, but
yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
I don't think it's gonna happen there's a lot
not
of
right now.
And
a
even
lot
look
that
at
would have
during
to
this,
happen beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And that is the issue we have now, for example, during this pandemic now, where the buses that we're importing, for example, those buses don't have windows. Buses have one
window on one side.
You understand? Now if that bus, for example, were to flip and fall on its side,
all right.
It's the jaws of life.
But how long will the jaws of life get there?
That's
so
what
the
saying.
vehicle flips, the vehicle turns over, it falls on the side, it falls on the door, you can't pass through the door. Yeah. It has one window, and the vehicle starts to catch fire.
Okay.
And they have 12 of you in the vehicle.
This is I'm so glad you brought this up. Taking at the times that I do have to take public transport, this is something that I do. I have to consider which bus I'm boarding. I have a fear of these pit bulls that are now on the road. Yep. We call them pit bulls.
Pit bulls.
I have a concern because, like you said, this one window thing, and I'm not like most people, so I always think of safety, having gone through road safety. Right. What if we're in an accident? How am I going to get out? So that is always my concern, and I do not board them for that reason. So, but again, it draws back to measures being put in place in terms of the types of vehicles that are allowed on our roads.
Allowed to come in. That's true.
These are for, China and these places, and we have these things here.
But yes. Question, are these vehicles that come in with the single window, it doesn't sound like a design that would be made for a vehicle that is intended for public transportation.
Public use.
Yeah, it sounds like a design that's probably flippantly made for a cargo vehicle or cargo transport vehicle.
I honestly don't know what the intention behind that one window thing. What I've heard is that even if it has one window, the glass it's made in a way that you can easily kick the glass out. Okay. But that's not always practicable. Now I was having some conversation with a minibus operator who told me that if you will actually have all the windows installed, but it comes at a separate cost.
Yeah.
So so if you're going to buy the bus, you want them to install 2 free windows, you have to make an order, and they'll have to That's what I heard.
Okay. You could customize it. That is an option, but most of them don't, because again, it's a cost you have to incur.
The cost
separate from the purchase.
Right. Yeah, definitely. If there's an extra cost, most people are not good to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just getting. Hold on. I asked my colleague some stats earlier, and she's just telling me motorcycles. I think so far for the year we've had 19 fatal crashes, where 20 people have died.
Wow.
Wow.
19 fatal accidents with 20 fatalities.
And that would include both motorcycle and vehicular.
Yes, both motorcycle and vehicle. I'm trying to find out if you can give me before
motorcycles.
Of motorcycles separate. But it's high. I know for sure.
20 people have died.
20 people have died, and that's 20.
In our small island.
Small island.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where there are many people that are afraid to fly, right? When we drop off our loved ones at the airport, we hug them a little tighter than usual because we're afraid of what might happen.
Afraid what happen.
But really and truly, every time your loved one enters a vehicle, just a regular car, a van, a truck, you should be hugging them even tighter because it is a much more risky activity than flying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's why I emphasized earlier that driving habits, our attitude behind the steering wheels has a lot to play with us saving our lives and saving the lives of other persons.
yeah. Something I often tell my relatives and loved ones is uh, a lot of the reason why I think a lot of accidents happen is because people take the speed at which we're traveling for granted. Um, just if you really sat down and really understood the physics and the speed at which we drive, then you would take it a lot more seriously. And the thing is, a lot of us grew up with vehicles in our family. We would take buses
Right.
to school. So we're desensitized to the power and speed that we harness
Oh yes.
every day for our transportation.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a very needed conversation. Keen, I think you're about
Very
to say
needed
something.
conversation.
No, you're always speaking, and I was like, but even with the bus drivers, you see, it's like a race. It's a competition to get to the peg.
Yes, that's
Even
why I
with
don't
it's like
like.
it's like they're carrying potatoes or something. I don't know what they're
You
carrying,
know
but
what?
it's not human beings.
You know what I have done to protect myself?
Mhm.
I have actually purchased I purchased twice a dash camera. I think moving forward, I'm the kind of techie person. I think you know, I would suggest to anybody that it's cheap now. You can get a dash camera for about 35 US, a good quality one. You install it in
Okay.
your vehicle so it records all the time. Because I can tell you, I have been in 2 accidents, and both times my dash camera is what has redeemed me.
Wow.
Okay?
That's good.
Trust me. And I think moving forward, I think we should go down that direction. And I will appeal to all drivers, invest in a dash camera, because you see the craziness on the road every day, every second of the day. And sometimes, if you have a dash camera and you have footage, it might even save you,
All right.
because the police we can now review those cameras and see, okay, yes, this guy was actually the one who was doing whatever, and so on and so
You're
forth.
right.
So
Rather than take
it
word
does,
of mouth and all of that.
right, right.
Yeah, I can
But
definitely.
speaking of dash cam,
Go ahead.
sorry, Kelly, we currently have CCTV, right?
Yes, at
Installed
some
in some
places.
places in the north,
Right.
like the Groseley Highway or something like that.
Right.
Okay, so that also is helping
Oh
curb the
yes,
situation when it
yes,
comes
it
to
helps.
vehicular
Yes,
collisions.
yes. Because sometimes when for example, we are at accident scenes at particular locations and we are not sure as to what happened, we normally communicate with the CCTV personnel, and then they will allow us to view the footage, so we'll have a better, understanding of
Right.
what transpired.
I'm hoping we
So,
could get funding and install more of these around the island. It's really
yes,
needed.
for sure, especially around the city, and
Yeah.
and I always believe we should have cameras installed all on our main highways at strategic
That
locations.
that is where, Kelly, you were talking about driving in the US versus driving here.
Right,
With
right,
these
right,
CCTVs, it kind of places that context for us.
right.
Where you're looking over your shoulder because you're being caught on
Right.
camera.
And you can't help us in solving crimes. One thing we need to understand is, even in crime, people use transport to commit crimes. They drive
Yes.
away from the scene, they drive to the scene. So so if we have cameras installed at enough locations, it will assist us even fighting our crimes. Because, for example, you may have heard that vehicle may have passed at the time. You can just review your camera and see what that vehicle.
Yeah. So
I
it's
mean,
a
I don't believe these
good
things are
all-around
only.
investment.
Oh yes, I don't believe these things are only good on TV. I mean, we can use it. I mean, you see on TV those different programs where the police
Yes.
actually view footage and whatnot. I've
NCIS.
seen, for example, when they're trying to track down, and it's amazing, when they try to track down, let's say, terrorists in other countries. There are so many cameras that they can actually, pinpoint the individual, and boy, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I think we can, as a small country, I think we can make use of it.
All right.
So
Absolutely.
we just need to
So right here, you said we just need to.
Kina, I think we had an issue with your audio there for a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I was
Yes,
saying we just need to invest in it.
yes, most definitely.
Absolutely. I forgot what I was just about to say, but I did have another question I had for you. Let's say you're patrolling, or you're parked somewhere as a traffic officer, and you see somebody driving towards you, right? The person doesn't have a seatbelt on. But as soon as they see you, as you mentioned earlier, of course, the
Right,
natural
yeah.
instinct is, oh, right. And they
They
grab
grab it.
over for it and they reach over, pull it down. And as an officer, when you see that done, do you feel, oh, okay, at least they know that they should do it? Or do you feel, oh, you know what? Let me get you. Let me pull you over because you knew you were supposed to have it on the whole time. And now let's fix this, right? What's your reaction? Is it better to put it on or better? Because what I've been told is that when you see an officer, whatever you were doing wrong, just calmly continue to do it. Because if you stop, you
I was
increase your
told the same
chances.
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what are your
Because
thoughts on that?
sometimes you might be approaching the officer, and the officer not even realize that you're not wearing a
He did
seatbelt.
not,
But
yes.
because of your sudden reaction to jerk, and the worst thing is, I mean, when you jerk on the seatbelt hard enough, it will not come down.
Right.
Yeah, it locks.
But I mean, I always encourage persons, one, you should wear your seatbelt. Even before, I always preach to them that even before you start spraying your key, first thing you should do is put in your seatbelt. Even before you start your engine, put in your seatbelt. So yes, I'll stop you. I may or may not ticket you. The question is left to me.
Right.
Most times I go into questions. So how are you today? Where did you come from? Oh, I just left by the gas station over there. Oh, but I came from home. Where do you live? Oh, Babono. Oh, so you were driving from Babono to Cashew. You have a seatbelt. I say, oh, officer, well, you understand?
Yeah.
But I mean, I always encourage persons to wear seatbelt at all times. I, as officer, I use sometimes I do use discretion, but sometimes I believe there are times where persons have to, because I mean, the fact that they see you and the first thing they do is they grab it is because they know that you're supposed to have it, and they don't have it. Understand? And it's an offense, which you can be charged for.
Wow. Yeah, so I think the answer there is just calmly continue to drive and hope for the best.
And hope that I don't see you. And when you pass me, then you can put it on.
So let me ask you, what is the most because I know as an officer you have so many stories, you've seen a lot of things over I think you said 12 to 15 years that you've been
Yes, 14 years I've been at traffic department.
Wow.
So you've been at this job for 14 years and you've seen a lot of stuff.
Oh yes.
So can you share, is there anything that you can share with us what are some of your crazy stories?
Crazy stories, traffic-wise, I will tell you honestly, it is the kind of accidents that sometimes I have to attend to. There's one accident in my history which really broke me. It brought me to tears actually. I just could not hold it back. And that accident happened on the Bexon Highway where the three children, was it 2 children who died? 2 children died.
Oh, I remember.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think what broke me down the most was the fact that when I got to the scene, they had already brought 2 of the children to the hospital. The driver was already dead. And there's this one child who was pinned. The child was about 2 years old. The child was pinned between the dashboard and the front seat. And the front seat was actually broken and was stuck forward. And it was basically the fire officers just heard a cry. So prior to them coming there, they had no idea that there was that child there. And when he heard the cry, he looked and he saw the child pinned between the seat and the dashboard. And we had to really hustle to get that child out of there. Joseph Lives tried to cut that vehicle and knock it, rock it. When we finally did, we had no ambulance there. All I was there was my the vehicle I came with, which is the blue Subaru car. That night, I turned that vehicle into an ambulance.
Oh my!
I told the fire officer said, but we have no ambulance. I told the fire officer, well, let's use my car. Let us go. We need to get the child out of there. The guy told me just put on the back seat. I put on the back seat. Just put the child in on the spine board and he jumped in the back, closed the door. The mother was sitting right next to me. And he told me just drive. Let me tell you, that night I drove. Wow. But what was hard enough was the fact that the child was literally crying in pain. And the mother now is next to me and she's crying. The fire officer is I mean, he shouted at her and tell her, just, hello, mom, just suck it up. Right now, your child needs you. Just stop crying. And he told her to start to sing to him. And I'm driving there, and the mother is singing in anguish, and the child is actually trying to sing along with her in all his pain. I'm telling you, man, I drove like a maniac. When I got to the hospital, we took the child, me and him, we brought the child in the hospital, and the doctors were like crazy. Everybody was like helter skelter because there were two children there. One was already dead. The other one was, seriously injured, and we had no beds. We put the child on the floor and we started to take out the child. But at the time, what I realized when I got to the hospital, the child was unresponsive. The child had just gone quiet. And when I sat down, when I left the room and I was in the hallway and I just started to sink in, I just broke down like a baby, started crying. I just could not help it. I was like, wow. I mean, I have children myself. And let me tell you that, these are the things that we have to go through as police officers. And we see those things every time, the blood and yes, and you name it.
Right.
But in all my experience, that is the only one that really broke me down. I don't know if it's because of hearing that child singing and crying in pain at the same time, and then the child did die eventually. Yeah, the child did die. Yes, and as a police officer, again, we have to now attend those autopsies, and it's yep.
So what is the support available? The counseling support, emotional support available to to your officers who have to constantly be dealing with this kind of thing?
Dealing, yes. Yes, we do have counseling support available. We do have debriefings available. So, when you go through these things, all you have to do is request it. And I believe I honestly believe it should not be done at your request. It should be mandatory that anytime you come from those tragic things that you should be debriefed, because these things are abnormal. We humans, we were not made to witness these things as human beings. And when you see these things, it can have a psychological effect on us. When you look at the United States, for example, you see so many officers committing suicide and so on and so forth. And we're saying, but what? But these are the things that you go throughout your career as a police officer. You see those things, those gruesome things, and these things just build up in your mind until you just can't take it anymore.
Cannot take no more.
And a lot of times we see officers and we call them, drunkards and whatnot. But some of these, those officers sometimes may look to drinking as a means to try to, forget those things. And, I was listening to Mr. Calixtus Jean-Louis, and he was speaking about the same thing. He said those kind of events tend to remain in your, I can't remember the term he used, but it remains somewhere where subconscious mind, right? Where it gets replays and replays and replays in your mind. And then if you don't take care of it, or if you don't do what you ought to do, it can cause you to do things that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah. Left unaddressed, it comes to your conscious mind.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
I've seen a lot of traffic, trust me.
Thank you for sharing that story. And I also want to commend you for taking action that night. Use your vehicle and do what you have to do.
We need to get that child to hospital. We'll have to use my car. Let's go.
All right.
And, even if the child died at the end, but at least we tried.
But you did your best.
We did try it, right? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yes. I guess before we close, is there any message that we could leave our listeners with when it comes to road safety? I know earlier we spoke to the motorcyclists, and you left some very poignant messages. You might want to reemphasize it and bring out something new for our road users, whether it be pedestrians or vehicular traffic.
Well, right. That's why I like speaking about road safety, simply because we all can we all can play a part, because we have pedestrians who form part of traffic. We have motorcycle riders. We have omnibus drivers. We have passengers on board motor vehicles. We have horseback riding. We have cyclists, pedal cyclist riders. We all have our part to play as it relates to road safety. You know, I mean, we see time and time again the effects of, you know, crazy accidents and speeding. It just doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, if you're late, you're late. You can't be, you know, you're late.
And you
You
later.
understand? Right. You can't be any later.
Mm-hmm.
So my appeal to drivers is, you know, we need to adhere to the rules of the road, especially the speed limit. We need to understand that those vehicles can become a weapon of mass destruction. Okay, because when you have vehicle traveling at 60, 70 miles an hour, weighing 2,000, 3,000 pounds, let me tell you, you know, the amount of damage you can do to ourselves and to others innocently. And I've seen it before. I've seen innocent persons on their merry way driving or walking along the street, and some maniac comes, and because he was driving too fast, he lost control and killed that person. That person has a family, they have children, they have parents, you understand? That's one life that can never be regained. My appeal to all road users is we all have a part to play. We all must ensure that whatever we do, we put our safety first and also the safety of others. And if we all play our part, trust me, we'll have zero road fatalities. We'll have zero pedestrian accidents. We always need to just do what we need to do. Motorcyclists, wear your helmets, wear your safety gear, get your bike license and insured, and make sure you are licensed. Pedestrians, when you cross the road, remember a vehicle cannot always be repaired with a knock of a hammer and some heat. But when you break your leg or you fracture your spine, that's it for you, or you lose your life. You know, these are things that people need to understand. It's not a joke. You know, it is really not a joke. And one more thing, I'll say we need to be patient. I do not know what is the cause of our haste, our impatience as St. Lucian drivers and even pedestrians, you know, the same thing. They cross anywhere, anyhow. A pedestrian sees you reversing, and they'll still try to run behind your vehicle and try to make it in time, even if they saw you reversing. I mean, we need to be a little patient. Because at the end of the day, I mean, when the accident happens, that's when you're crying, you're in pain, and you know, you put people in unnecessary expenses.
Yeah.
So we all can play our part, and if we do, we'll have a much safer St. Lucia, where road safety is
Absolutely.
concerned.
Very well said.
Well said. Very well said. So you heard it. We all have a part to play. And I'm so glad that you
Yep.
mentioned that it's not just motorcyclists or people driving their nice cars, it's
No,
horseback
no,
riders, it's cyclists, it is
everybody.
pedestrians, it is all of
Yep,
us. Everybody
yep.
have their part to play in this.
One thing I'd like to say quickly, I noticed, for example, pedestrians. You know, again, you see our culture, we are not cultured that way. If you go to England, for example, when you are walking the streets at night, you have some form of reflective clothing, right,
Yes.
on you, whether it's an armband or a vest. But in St. Lucia, people, you see somebody walking the streets, they're all in black. And, you know, our lighting is not that, you know, sometimes our lighting is not that good. And then, you know, these are the little things that we can do as pedestrians. You're walking at night. If you're going to walk out on the street at night, ensure that you wear some bright colored clothing, simply to allow persons to see you easier. If you dress all in dark colors, black, dark blue, navy blue, you know, you become difficult to see at night. So these are the little things that we can do, you know, to make it safer for ourselves and others.
Yes. And that is a key point. I learned that. And I also learned don't walk towards oncoming traffic. You have to, it's better to walk on the opposite side of the road most times, because then both vehicles get to see you, and you get to see any approaching vehicle. You get to avoid any accident that may occur while you're walking.
So when you say oncoming traffic, you mean the traffic is coming towards you and you're walking towards the traffic, right? So both of you
You're
see
supposed
each
to
other.
walk so everybody gets to see each other. Don't give the oncoming traffic your back, right, Mr. Chico? I think that's what I learned actually from Mr. Joseph.
Well, yes. I would prefer to walk and see the vehicle coming towards me than to walk and the vehicle is approaching me from my back
It's
and I
not,
can see it.
you're right. So if anything is gonna
Safer that
happen, you
way.
could see it,
At
and the other
least you
person is on the
can
other side of the
see
road. So
and
it's
right.
do something, you can act in
Do
a
something.
manner. So yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, that sounds good to me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I heard myself. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Chico, Officer Chico.
What's going on, brother? Yes.
I think this was a
I enjoyed it.
this was a
Yes, I
very
did
needed
too.
conversation.
Yes.
So folks, stay safe out there. We will be in here again in the next 2 weeks. And thanks for joining us again. Thanks again, Officer Chico.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.